Claire's life had become a rhythm of quiet exhaustion. Every morning she woke to the same routine: a cup of coffee, the soft hum of her apartment, the distant traffic outside her window, the constant weight of responsibilities pressing down on her shoulders. She loved her life in a way, but she couldn't deny the loneliness that had settled over her in the years after her divorce. There were moments when the apartment felt too big, too empty, and when the silence reminded her that the warmth of companionship had slipped through her fingers. Her son, Ethan, was 17, tall and strong for his age, with the easy charm of someone who noticed the small details others overlooked. He was close to her, a caring boy who instinctively knew when something was wrong. Today, for instance, he had noticed the way she moved stiffly, her shoulders hunched from weeks of stress. "Mom, your shoulders look tight," he said quietly as he approached her in the living room. His voice had that gentle, concerned tone that melted the edges of her stress. "Want me to help?" Claire hesitated. Normally, she would have brushed him off with a laugh or a casual shake of her head. But today felt different. Her body ached. Her mind spun with the weight of unfinished tasks, missed calls from friends she hadn't spoken to in months, and the quiet loneliness of evenings spent alone. She sighed softly. "Okay," she said, allowing him to approach. Ethan's hands were careful yet confident. He pressed and kneaded her shoulders with a precision that made her close her eyes and release a tension she hadn't realized she had been holding. The warmth of his touch was comforting, grounding her in a way she hadn't felt in a long time. For a moment, the constant noise of worry faded, leaving only the quiet, steady rhythm of the massage and the soft background hum of the apartment. As she relaxed, strange awareness washed over her. There was something in the moment that felt delicate, almost too intimate for words. Claire's heart skipped in a way that startled her. She reminded herself firmly. This was her son, her child, her family. Nothing could cross that boundary. She breathed deeply, trying to refocus on the simple act of comfort, not the confusing flutter of emotions that briefly disturbed her calm. Ethan, unaware of the storm inside her, continued with care. "You work too hard, Mom. You deserve to feel good sometimes," he said. His voice soft, steady, filled with a sincerity that tugged at her heart. Claire wanted to tell him more than a simple thank you. She wanted to admit how lonely she had felt, how much she longed for connection beyond the predictable patterns of her life. She wanted to speak of her old dreams, of love lost and hope quietly fading. But the words were heavy, too charged with emotion to speak aloud. Instead, she leaned back and let herself enjoy the small comfort, allowing her mind to drift without opening the floodgates of confession. The massage ended gently, Ethan brushing his hands on his jeans as if brushing away invisible stress. "Better?" he asked, smiling faintly. "Much better," Claire replied, her smile soft and faint. She felt a complex knot of relief, guilt, and nostalgia, twisting quietly in her chest. It was a strange mixture of comfort and unease, the kind of feeling that made her heart race and her thoughts stumble over themselves. She tried to shake it off, telling herself it was just stress, just the weight of daily life pressing on her. Yet the lingering tension remained not in her shoulders, but in her heart. Later that night, Claire found herself by the window, watching the rain streak the glass. She wrapped her arms around herself, feeling the familiar ache of longing she had tried to ignore for years. The world outside looked blurry, washed in gray light, and she wondered how she had drifted to this quiet, half-empty existence. She remembered Jake, a college love she had not seen in over a decade. He had been the kind of person who made her laugh uncontrollably, who noticed every little thing about her, who seemed to understand her in ways no one else had. Her phone buzzed, breaking the silence. A message from Jake appeared. "Hey, are you free to talk?" Claire's heart fluttered. Memories of late-night conversations, shared secrets, and the warmth of a love that felt alive rushed back. Could she really reach out? Could she allow herself to feel again, to let someone into the quiet corners of her life that had long remained locked? Her mind raced with possibilities and consequences. One path was safe, the comforting, predictable life she had built with Ethan. The other was uncertain, thrilling, filled with the promise of rediscovering potential heartbreak. The evening stretched long and quiet, rain drumming softly against the window. Claire remained frozen, staring at her phone, caught between two worlds. The emotions that had surfaced during Ethan's massage lingered, confusing, tender, and deeply human. She knew she needed to face them, but the path forward felt tangled and unclear. In the days that followed, Claire found herself reflecting more on what she had felt during that simple act of comfort. It wasn't attraction in any inappropriate sense, was the awareness of intimacy, connection, of human warmth that she had been missing. It reminded her of the kind of closeness she had longed for in her life, the kind of attention and care that made the heart ache when absent. Ethan noticed the shift in her mood, asking gently if she was okay and offering small comforts like bringing her tea or sitting with her while she read. Claire appreciated his attentiveness. Yet each small act reminded her of the gap in her own adult life, the companionship she had lost and the love she still secretly yearned for. She felt an odd mix of gratitude and wistfulness, the two emotions intertwining until she sometimes had trouble separating them. One afternoon, while sorting through old boxes in the attic, Claire stumbled upon letters she and Jake had exchanged years ago. She smiled softly, touched by the memories, the echoes of laughter and whispered confessions that seemed so distant now. Her heart ached with a quiet longing, the kind that made her chest feel heavy yet alive. She realized she had spent so long protecting herself from disappointment that she had almost forgotten how it felt to feel deeply. Ethan, busy with his own homework nearby, glanced up and noticed her thoughtful expression. "Thinking about someone?" he asked innocently. Claire laughed lightly, a bittersweet sound. "Just memories," she said, her voice carrying a gentle sadness. She felt the pull of the past and the weight of the present pressing together, creating a delicate tension that left her both nervous and excited. That evening, Claire found herself pacing the living room, phone in hand, trying to decide if she would respond to Jake's message. The rain had stopped, but the air was thick with anticipation. Her mind replayed the massage, the comfort she had felt, and the unexpected awareness that had followed. She recognized it as a signal of something she had been missing: connection, affection, understanding. But it also reminded her of boundaries, of responsibility, and the careful line between closeness and overstepping. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, torn between fear and desire. Could she reach out? Would it be foolish to open that chapter of her life again? The choice seemed monumental, yet impossibly delicate. She realized that her decision would not just affect her, it could reshape the quiet balance she had maintained for years. As night deepened, Claire finally sat down, letting herself breathe, letting herself feel the mixture of hope, fear, and longing that had settled over her. She knew that tomorrow would demand a choice, that the comfortable rhythm of her life would be challenged, and that the emotions stirred during a simple massage might echo far longer than she expected. The world outside her window was quiet, the city lights shimmering in the distance, and Claire felt the weight of anticipation like a heartbeat pulsing in her chest. For the first time in years, she felt truly alive, caught between the past and the possibilities of the future, between the safe comfort of her son's care and the thrilling uncertainty of love rekindled. And though she didn't know what lay ahead, she knew one thing clearly: nothing would feel the same again. The morning sunlight streamed gently through Claire's living room window, illuminating the small dust particles that danced in the warm light. It was a fresh start, yet Claire felt anything but fresh. Her mind replayed last night's rain-soaked memories, Ethan's caring hands on her shoulders, and the message from Jake blinking on her phone. The quiet tension of yesterday had not lifted, had settled heavy in her chest. Ethan entered the kitchen, yawning, rubbing his eyes. "Morning, Mom," he said, his voice casual, but Claire noticed the faint concern hidden underneath. He always noticed her moods, and today was no exception. "Morning, sweetie," Claire replied, forcing a soft smile. "Did you sleep well?" Ethan shrugged. "Yeah, I guess. You?" Claire shook her head lightly. "I didn't sleep much. She tried to keep her tone light, not wanting to worry him. But Ethan's sharp eyes caught the hesitation, the worry, the almost palpable unrest. Later that morning, Claire found herself alone in her bedroom, phone in hand. The message from Jake stared back at her. "Hey, are you free to talk?" Her heart raced, a mix of excitement and fear pulling at her at the same time. She had spent years protecting herself, building walls to avoid disappointment. Yet something in her heart urged her to answer. She typed a reply, hesitated, deleted it, then typed again. Finally, she hit send. "Yes, I can talk. Are you free now?" Almost immediately, her phone buzzed. Jake's reply was quick. "Perfect. I can come by in an hour." Claire's pulse quickened. She had imagined this moment countless times over the years, wondering if reconnecting would feel like picking up an old story or like opening a wound that never healed. Now the answer was imminent. By the time Jake arrived, Claire's nerves were taut. She opened the door to find him standing there, older, more mature, but still with that familiar warmth in his eyes that had always made her heart skip. "Claire," he said softly, stepping inside. "Jake," she replied, feeling a mixture of relief and nervous excitement. He handed her a small bouquet of flowers, simple yet thoughtful, and she felt tears prick her eyes. It had been so long since someone had thought of her like this. They sat in the living room, talking quietly at first, catching up on the years they had missed. Jake spoke of his job, the city, and the ways his life had changed. Claire shared carefully, the words slipping out in a gentle rhythm, painting a picture of her days, her challenges, and the quiet moments of joy she still managed to find. As the conversation continued, Claire noticed a shift in herself. The tension she had felt for weeks, the loneliness, the quiet ache of longing began to soften. Jake's presence brought a warmth she hadn't realized she was craving. She laughed easily at his jokes, smiled freely, and felt this spark of connection that had drawn her to him years ago. Ethan, meanwhile, was in his room, doing homework. He occasionally glanced at the living room, sensing a change in the atmosphere. He had always known Claire deserved happiness, though he didn't fully understand the emotions swirling around her. After some time, Jake suggested they take a walk in the nearby park. Claire agreed, enjoying the feel of the crisp air, the sound of leaves crunching underfoot, and the ease of conversation that flowed naturally between them. For a moment it felt as though the years had melted away, leaving only two people reconnecting, rediscovering the bond they had once shared. Yet, even in these moments of warmth, Claire's mind wandered back to Ethan. The closeness she had felt during the massage, the way his caring had touched her heart, these thoughts reminded her of boundaries, of responsibility, and of the life she had to protect. She didn't want to lose herself in rekindled romance. Without considering the delicate balance of her existing family life, Jake noticed her quiet moments. "You're thinking about something?" he said gently, stopping to look at her. "Do you want to tell me?" Claire hesitated. "It's just life, family, things I have to consider." She didn't explain the thoughts of Ethan, the awkward tension she had felt, but Jake understood enough. "I get it," he said softly. "We don't need to rush anything. I just wanted to see you, to talk, to see if some of what we had is still there." They walked in silence for a while, letting the rhythm of their steps match the beating of their hearts. Claire realized that while the past was familiar, the present was uncharted territory. The emotional intimacy she had rediscovered was both thrilling and frightening. Back at home, Claire prepared dinner, thinking about the delicate balance of her life. She wanted love, companionship, excitement, but she also wanted to protect Ethan, to maintain the safe, nurturing environment they had always shared. She knew that emotions, once stirred, could not be contained easily, and she needed to approach her feelings with care. Over the next few days, Jake visited more often. Their conversations deepened, filled with laughter, shared memories, and quiet confessions of longing. Claire felt alive again, a spark she hadn't felt in years, and yet she remained mindful of boundaries. She maintained her roles as mother, as guide, as someone who nurtured the home, while also allowing herself the possibility of happiness beyond the walls she had built. One afternoon, While Ethan was at a friend's house, Claire and Jake sat in the living room, drinking tea and watching the sunlight filter through the curtains. Claire felt a strange mixture of excitement and guilt. The memories of last week, the massage, the emotional intensity of her encounter with Jake, it all swirled together. But she reminded herself that love, in its many forms, was complex. It was not about inappropriate impulses, it was about human connection, its desire for companionship, and rediscovery of joy. Jake reached for her hand. The gesture was simple, kind, and filled with meaning. Claire felt a warmth radiate through her, a reminder that she was capable of love, capable of being seen and appreciated. They didn't rush, didn't cross boundaries, just sat connected, letting words and gentle touches convey what the heart often found too complex for speech. That evening, Ethan returned home laughing and chatting about his day. He noticed Claire's brighter mood, the way she seemed lighter, more at ease. He had no idea about the emotional journey she had been on, only that his mother looked happier, more alive. He hugged her tightly and she held him, grateful for the grounding force he provided. The love for her son was constant, unwavering, and she realized it was possible to experience new love without diminishing the deep bond she shared with him. In the following weeks, Claire and Jake continued to rebuild their connection, always mindful of each other's feelings and the delicate balance of her family life. They went for walks, shared dinners, and talked long into the night about hopes, dreams, and the small moments that made life meaningful. Claire felt the thrill of romance tempered with wisdom, and understood that love could coexist with responsibility and care. One quiet evening, Claire sat by the window again, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. Jake was nearby, reading, and Ethan was asleep upstairs. She reflected on the changes in her life, an expected massage that had stirred buried feelings, the message from Jake that had opened a door she thought long closed, and the gentle, patient unfolding of emotions she had feared would never return. She smiled to herself, realizing that life was not about avoiding feelings or running from possibilities. It was about embracing them with care, honesty, and courage. She had discovered that connection could heal, love could return, and the heart could expand without breaking the bonds that mattered most. Claire's journey was not complete, but she felt the strength to continue to explore her emotions and to nurture both her family and herself. She understood that life was a delicate balance, and she was learning, slowly and beautifully, to navigate it with grace. As night fell, Jake gently closed his book and looked at her. "You look happy," he said softly. "I am," Claire replied, feeling the truth in her words. She had found a way to honor the past, embrace the present, and look forward to the future. The storm of emotions that had once seemed overwhelming had settled into a rhythm of hope, warmth, and quiet joy. In the end, Claire understood that love was not about perfect timing or flawless circumstances. It was about recognizing opportunity, cherishing connection, and moving forward with courage and honesty. She had found herself again in the gentle unfolding of care, in the delicate sparks of rekindled romance, and in the unwavering bond with her son. And as she closed her eyes that night, she knew one thing: her life, with all its complexity, heartbreak, and beauty, was finally beginning to feel whole again.